Texas Supreme Court heard a challenge over a new state law that bans transgender children from receiving certain healthcare options. It also threatens the licenses of doctors who provide that care. At Tuesday's hearing, attorneys for the state argued that Senate Bill 14 falls in line with the Texas legislature having the authority to regulate medicine.
The statute is narrowly tailored to protecting children from interventions that interfere with their growth and development and have irreversible physical effects, all without proven mental health benefit.
Meanwhile, the attorney representing doctors and families of transgender children argued the Texas law unconstitutionally limits their decision-making.
In attempting to justify Senate Bill 14 in this case, the state has disregarded widely recognized benefits of the care that Senate Bill 14 bans and the risk of doing nothing to treat gender dysphoria.
Our Will Dupree has been tracking developments in this case. How receptive did the justices seem to the state's argument about upholding this law and allowing it to still be enforced?
You know, it's fair to assume that the state is walking into a courtroom that is on much friendlier political ground than probably anywhere else in the state. These Supreme Court justices are all elected by the voters of Texas, and they're all currently Republicans. Now, some of these justices did ask the state repeatedly about these claims that this law infringes on a parental right to decide the kind of best care for someone whose child is experiencing gender dysphoria. The state would constantly come back to this same answer, saying that, you know, the state has an authority to be able to regulate what types of care is available here in Texas, and that is what happened in this instance. They are saying the state has the authority to be able to block hormone therapies and puberty blocking medication for transgender minors, as well as surgeries to assist in their transitions. But we have to point out that one justice, Deborah Lehrman, who is the longest serving woman on the court, she did raise some skepticism about that argument, saying, well, should doctors or medical professionals be the best arbiter for that choice to provide care for certain patients? And the state would constantly go back to that and say the doctors do not regulate themselves. And again, this is a responsibility the state legislature has and is exercised in this case.
What did the attorney that was representing the families and doctors suing the state say about how this is the ban is affecting them?
Yeah, I want to step back just really quickly and give a bit of a general context. So there are a number of LGBTQ plus advocacy organizations and civil rights groups who are supporting these families and doctors who are suing the state. They have pointed out that many of these families and others that are not a part of this lawsuit are having to go outside of Texas to seek this same kind of care for their child who is working to affirm their gender identity. We have also covered a number of people who have moved out of Texas entirely because of these kinds of political debates, as well as those who have left the U.S. entirely because of the debates not only happening in Texas, but also nationally.
Well, looking ahead now, when is a decision expected from the Supreme Court?
It could be quite some time. I talked to a few of the lawyers who were associated with this case, and they said that the Supreme Court would likely not hand a ruling down until, if not weeks, maybe even months. So this law remains in effect, and it is affecting the care that is available to these families.
All right, Will Dupree, thank you very much.
A win and a loss for Ken Paxton in court. Why there's still a question of whether the whistleblower case against his office will move forward. Democrats racing for the chance to face Ted Cruz meet on the debate stage. Their message to voters and how the face-to-face debate could affect the outcome in the race for Senate.